by December 2023 that the old Naira note we phase out. Now we are looking at the deadline for the old Naira note where as it approaches, even though that the Central Bank of Nigeria had made a declaration this morning, we saw it on the papers that the both notes, both the old and new Naira notes still remains legal tender. But we are going to still look at some of the factors because people in the country, in some part of the country, have been put in panic mode, thinking that it's still what they said earlier is still going to hold. So we are going to be talking about a whole lot on our discussion this morning, and we have as guests in the studio this morning to help us, on the topic we have Chuks Uzeze. He is a public affairs analyst. Chuks, good morning.
Good morning, viewers. Welcome to the program.
All right. We also have Paulson. Okay. Paulson, he's a public affairs analyst. Glad to have you addition this
morning. Good morning, viewers. Please join us this morning to discuss.
All right. Let's start with you, Chuka, Uzeze, talking about the deadline for the old Naira note as it approaches. Earlier, before now, we are told that by December, we will no longer be using it 31st December. But now, CBN, they came up this morning to tell us that both still remains legal tender. Now, what do you make out of this?
Basically, this very action of CBN, we always buttress the fact that the policy somersault by government and their agencies in Nigeria is one of the greatest setback to business performance in Nigeria and for what deters foreign direct investment in Nigeria. Any polity that is not seen as being serious and committed to their pronouncements and their policy, we never get the desired foreign funding flow into the economic activities. The same thing applies within locally. Now, I will tell you that some researchers have given the projection that more than 30% of the new Naira notes have been seized or sequestered by both politicians and rich people who have access to raw cash, stash them in their houses, not in banks. So they had even the new Naira note that was printed. A lot of it is not even in circulation. You still see more of old currency in circulation than the new currency because of all these policy somersault. People are not sure of what government intends to do, and also given the fact that a lot of politicians, a lot of public servants are corrupt and have amassed a lot of cash through fraudulent and corrupt means. Now they will always corner any available cash and keep them stored in places, private places where they are not helping in economic activity. So now, probably that is one of the reasons government, seeing the effect now, decides to push the date further, because it's difficult to see much of the printed and minted currency in circulation, even after they have shifted the deadline from March to December. They know that it will not help. So they are looking for further or more strategies that will help them, push the currency or more currency into circulation, because corruption is still the problem. Most of the people are holding the cash, holding on to cash, instead of allowing the cash to be in the banking sector, because that's the only way to create money. The money must be in circulation. If you create money and people are holding it, if it's outside banking sector, it will stall economic activity, and now it will also drive inflation, because availability of a lot of cash in hands of a lot of people will mean that too much cash will be pursuing too few goods, because Nigeria is also productive. If Nigeria is not very, very productive, so if Nigeria had been productive, it will not matter. But low productivity and a large cash holding by the population will drive inflation.
All right, thank you so much for that submission. Now, on the premise of what he said about, so many people seizing the new Naira notes. Of course, if you go to weddings these days, you see that the people spray just the new Naira notes. But, I mean, if you look at what is circulating in our economy right now, in the hands of individuals, it's more of the old Naira notes. Now, who now give these people the new Naira notes to throw about when you go to parties and all that? You see them spread it. It's not just the politicians. You see some of the celebrities, some of the people that attend the wedding, and even some of the people that are selling money in events, you see them with new Naira notes. So who are we to blame for this?
I will still blame our monetary policy regulators, because these are people who release this money. But this money they release is only meant for the big fish, unquote. What's a poor man stacking money for? Has he seen enough? But it's only meant for these big shots, big fishes that I call them, who can go into the bank or who can call the bank manager on the phone and ask him, I want 10 million naira mint. And he will deliver it to his doorstep. And this man will stack this money. You see what happened during the withdrawal and the submission of the old currency in the banks, where people are coming with truckloads of naira packed in their houses. Some could not go to bank, they throw it in the dustbin. So these will tell you the kind of citizens we are. Tell me the justification for a man to pack more than 100, 200 million naira in his house. Some will dig a soakaway pit and pack them there. Some will conceal it in anywhere, in their houses, in their rooms, and so on. Then the common man, their neighbors, are suffering. The people are suffering. And you pack money in your street, in your house, in your soakaway, in anywhere in your house, for it to do nothing for you other than that you're a big man and you have this money packed in your house. So when I say our policymakers, financial policy regulators, if there had been a way that no man should be given XYZ amount of money from the banks, we regulate it. Aside that, if like in other countries, you cannot come into the bank and withdraw more than $10,000 cash. You can't do it. Otherwise, they know who are you. What do you do for a living? But in Nigeria is one country where a man will buy a house of 200 million naira. He will bring cash. And he will be disturbing people to count this money to make sure. It will take days. Nigeria is the only country where a man wants to buy a car, he will go with cash. It doesn't happen in any other society. And that will tell you that our financial policy regulators are not sincere, they are not serious, because they themselves are complicit as well. Because if you know a bank manager or if you know a big man in the bank, just call him on phone, I want so and so amount of money. He will bring. Before you know, a bullion van will drive into your house and deliver. And now we are talking about the new currency. The old one, I say, they are very strong. Everywhere. You don't even see the new one. So the central bank giving directive that they should exist alongside is in order. It's better than you say, we are hitting the deadline. Because if you say, let us 31st December deadline as was ordered by Supreme Court.
Supreme Court.
Then you create another problem. People will begin to struggle again. So it's better because in other countries you don't decree end to a particular naira.
Yeah, that's the next question I wanted to ask, because what's the point of declaring a deadline for a particular note? Because we know in Senate climb, you see them, we use them, and then the bank will gradually be absorbing the old one, and before you know it, it will just fade out.
Yeah, like the British pounds now.
Yes,
they have changed it, the British pounds, to King Charles' head, but they have not said you have up to 31st December to submit the ones with Queen Elizabeth's head. Rather, they allow them to exist alongside, so that at the end of the day, one will be gradually exiting, while the other one will be coming in. And that is the way it is done in Senate climb. But in Nigeria here, we want to decree that from this period to this period, this one will cease to exist. And everybody will be running katakata. Remember the kind of sufferings Nigerians encountered in the course of changing this currency. So we should better learn how to do things better than the way other countries do things than the way we do things, because the way we do things always creates problem for us.
Okay, also talking about the new Naira note, just like we have established that you see them sparingly, you don't even use them. Like me, I can't even remember the last time I handled a new note. Now, the question is, if actually we are working on the deadline, or we are following the deadline that was given by the Supreme Court rather, then why is it that the CBN haven't made any effort to at least print more of the new currency, new notes rather?
Basically, one thing you should know about management of cash, liquidity in circulation is that there are so many reasons why government will increase the quantity of notes in circulation, as well as control the withdrawal of the quantity in circulation. Now, I've told you why there is a paucity of these new notes in circulation. A lot of people, through criminal means, through corrupt means, have ended up with a lot of funds that they cannot allow to be found in their either corporate account or private accounts in banks. So it's either they find a way of taking them outside the shores of Nigeria, or they find a means of storing them within the economy. And now people can afford to give up to 5% of the value of those inordinate gotten funds to people in banks and financial sector to get them the new printed notes in exchange for the old ones they have. So that way they will automatically disappear. So what actually government want to do maybe to bring in all those unbanked funds into circulation, into the economy, will be defeated immediately. Because it is if you look at what part of the reasons why CBN gave why they needed the new notes is one, to bring in inclusiveness of banking by getting in people, the unbanked sector, into the banking sector by getting all those cash. Then also to improve the cost of managing funds, because it's more difficult to or costlier to manage older notes. As they get older, the cost of managing old notes becomes higher because they are torn, they are dirty, and so on. And now the neatness of your notes is also one of the parameters that foreign investors, the way they rate your currency, the respect that is accorded your currency is on the neatness of your note. If you look at it, most of the dollars you lay your hands on are still neat. Why? Is it not still money? When Nigerians get dollar, they don't rumple it, they don't squeeze it the way they squeeze Naira. But you bring even new mint now and give it to the woman selling fish. They will crumple it, and then put it somewhere that by the time he gives it to the next person, it's already stained, it's already torn, it's already rumpled. So now, the core reason is that a lot of cash in Nigeria is still at the hands of criminals and people who got them through corruption. So it still centers around corruption. And remember, one of the reasons advanced by CBN is also to mitigate the issue of ransom paying by kidnappers who demand cash. So they now want to put a better track on these new currencies so that they will now track whoever wants to be paid by this new currency. So that is one of the ideas, because they couldn't track the older currencies. A lot of counterfeit, a lot of mismanaged funds. Most of the serial numbers are not there or difficult to keep tab on. So they want a new set of currency they can now keep tab on. So anywhere it surfaces, they cannot trace it back. But all these things are also being defeated because they will never come to the bank again. Once these people get them, they will sequester it somewhere, and then the whole problem, it becomes a vicious cycle. So I think that is it, but it's defeated. But I tell you something. One easy way to stop or to improve this situation is by engendering productivity. And then government at all levels being sincere about financial inclusiveness by digitizing most of the currencies, because you may witness this. People find it difficult to accept electronic transfer at all levels. But if government have the infrastructure and the backbone for effective and secure electronic transfer at all tiers and stage, you find out that the acceptance and acceptability, even at the very, very local level, becomes, very, very okay and easy. And so people must not demand cash. And if government makes it a policy that any cash transaction over a certain amount of money will be taxed.
Are you sure that to some extent it will end what we are talking about? Because remember that most of these people are rural men and women that
First of all, you provide the infrastructure. That's the starting point.
Mm-hmm.
You provide the infrastructure. If, for instance, government says, okay, that even those in the rural area get a means like all these national ID cards. Almost everyone that have national ID card or the NIN number now. Print the ID cards. Integrate data. Let that microchip on it. You don't need a separate card for bank transaction. You don't need a separate card for. You see what we have. All the cards we have chip, but most of the chips are not being used. So you have a separate card for national ID card. You have a separate card for driver license. You have a separate card for this and that and that. Why not integrate one card can have any of these things embedded in it? So once you're a Nigerian, once you have any of the IDs, voters card, whatever, will be born on the same chip.
Do you think they are ready for
becomes
this?
very easy.
No,
and then you can also see what all these micro finance and this are doing. You find out that people, their acceptability is there now. Most traders now have all these point of POS, point of sales terminals. Even people selling all manner of things have access to it now. So it's easy to pay with your card. So if one card, you don't need a special bank card now. You just need a chip. Once you go, you subscribe for it in any bank, then they will code the details there. And with that, you can make transactions with any, just like banks are doing. With one bank card, you can use any of the POS or ATMs. The same thing applies with this. Any of these microfinance card, money points and Paga and all these things, you can still use your bank card to pay in. So the connectivity is there, but it's left for government to roll this out, do an integration of data, do an integration of technologies, and then it becomes secure and usable. That way, you find out that nobody will insist on cash. I don't know what you're getting me now. Nobody will insist on cash, and that way you find out that cash will not become a commodity. Runners now won't be much of a commodity now in doing transactions in Nigeria, because it's a drawback, because it's one of the incentives for crime. Because if there are zero cash transaction, you find out when people kidnap you, how will they bring cash? They know there's no cash anywhere. So they won't force you to bring cash because there's nowhere to see that kind of cash.
And they won't accept transfer.
Nobody will want to be involved with transfer.
Well, that's a beautiful policy, a good innovation. But the question is, are we as a nation ready for this?
Let me just tell you, talking about our readiness, you know that we will not do it. Because this is one country that wants to do everything, but we are not prepared for it. We don't have the technologies. Because I have this saying that we copied the Oyibo from the wrong perspective. If we already say that we want to organize ourselves, we will first of all begin to put the infrastructures in place. But it is not a rocket science. It is being done in every other places. So why can't it be done here? So like my colleague is saying, if we can integrate all these cards we are carrying about into one card, it is easy, because in some countries it is existing. So it's just a matter of bringing the infrastructure here and deploying it and enlighten people on how to do it. And we do it, we begin to do it. But the next thing that we have to improve on, first of all, on our power sector, first of all, because all these things are dependent on energy. It is dependent on the power sector. Do we have the regular electricity supply so that at every point in time, these machines could be powered by electricity? So it's not when we begin to look for service. Oh, there's no network here.
If I go in here, I'll tell you something. Nigerians are very, very much ready for this. Nigerians are very, very competent to achieve this. I'll tell you, the problem is government and governance.
Let me tell you why. The technology is already here because the private sector is already driving this and it's working for the private sector. I'll tell you, when you talk about power, most of these devices don't need much power. And solar technology has become so cheap and available. So individuals, it's just for government to provide a policy and enablement. Let me come in here. Even the power you're talking about, I think the power sector has been deregulated. It has been removed from the exclusive list of the federal government. So individuals, state governments cannot generate energy. So it's here. A lot of people, most of this money stored now, or stashed by individual, hidden by individual, can go into power. You see, you can give an amnesty for people who have that kind of wealth. Some countries have done something like that. Okay, once you are pushing these things into production or productivity in certain areas, government can pretend or close their eye partially until you bring in this money into those sectors and develop the economy. instead of having lose or coming to lose those things extensively, you know. So is political willpower to decide on this and see it through, and not using it as a means of maybe targeting your, you know, political opponents or, you know, opposition. So that is it. So all the resources is in Nigeria, because if you say it's not in Nigeria, go to other countries, you will see Nigerians driving the same technology, driving the same, you know, advancement and productivity. Why not in Nigeria? It's just government and the agencies being the stumbling block.
That is where I want to come from.
Yeah.
Because we are not ready to create enabling environment for certain things.
Is the government and governance?
Yes, no, of course, I'm talking about
the when you say we, it means me.
We are the government. When I say we are not ready, I mean the government. Because it's the government that should create enabling environment for certain businesses to thrive. All you'll be saying is normal, because individuals want to drive certain businesses because they have money, they want to invest. But do they have the enabling environment to do so? That is the problem.
And who is going to create the enabling environment?
It's government. And I'll tell you something. In doing this, if government goes this route, I'll tell you what will happen. The effect, the multiplier effect is going to have in the economy will create thousands and millions of jobs that will remove this high level of unemployment and then this poverty level we're experiencing. Because dormant resources, dormant funds, it draws the economy back a lot.
And we have a lot of dormant funds.
We have dormancy, we have a lot of dormant resources. And this is that is dormant here. We are using the same money. People are using the same money to go outside and buy them. Therefore, you know, throwing away our resources again, just like that. So I think the intentions are always, you know, germane. The intentions are always positive, but the way government rolls this thing out and people in governance implements it is still done in a selfish way. You find out that there's corruption embedded in every aspect and stage of any policy implementation.
No, I still wonder, this kind of policy we are talking about, why the CBN haven't, you know, talked about this kind of policy, amalgamating everything. Just let's have one card that we can use for, even for election, everything. What card?
A lot of people have raised this issue, but people who believe that this might stop the advantage or, you know, the gains they believe they are getting from whatever they're doing at that point, we want to draw it down. I think once it was raised by Chidoka when he was the corps marshal road safety. He said that this can be done. But I think both the bank people at the helms of affairs in the banking sector and some other people, the people managing the national information, what is it called, the national identity management, whatever, you know, shut the whole thing down. Because he was saying there's no need duplicating all these cards. Why not integrate? He raised it even to the National Assembly, but it was, you know, stood down. He said there's no need to duplicate. I think I followed that when he raised that issue, but it was, you know, stood down. So
and he's just one person. I'm talking about.
So that's what I'm saying. That if CBN also raised it, also, you will believe me. Some other people who wants their own, you know, card to be distinct for purposes, so that people can, for, you know, personal or, you know, specific reasons, so that they will continue whatever corruption they are doing. But it is government as a policy, if it's possible, make it a law that by this deadline are giving us for card. Let them give it to such things.
You know the reason why I asked earlier whether we are ready for this. Now we have different cards and we have a lot of people that are into ICT. You have these banks, online banks. I mean, when you talk about Money Point and all those people accounts are being hacked on a daily basis. Now, if we are talking about this, what would be the fate of a common man?
No, I'll tell you something. Nobody's account will be hacked without the person collaborating. And now, when these things are integrated further, I wouldn't say there won't be incidences. Even the most Nigerians are hacking the account of people in the United States, and Nigerians are doing that. So there's always people who are at the top of the chain in the crime business in ITP who hack into people's accounts. But I tell you, if the right policy, if the right checks are put in place, it won't be as it already is going on a daily basis. Even the conventional, traditional banking processes, people's accounts are being hacked. Because once you have an informant from within the banking sector, the security chain has been broken. Okay. So there's no, you can't if you have, no matter the kind of security you have in your house, once you have a complicit individual as a member of the family, definitely your security architecture has been compromised. And so that's the same thing. But when you have this, the gains is far better than the disadvantages we are witnessing now. So it's not about, it must be there. The evil will always live with us, stay with us. So it's left for government to also create opportunity for people in the cyber security sector to be engaged.
Or it is even left for banks now to
every will protect its interest.
To protect their customers.
Okay.
So in the ICT department, they could formulate measures that could make it difficult for it to be hacked into. So, and if a particular bank does it and another do it and so on, you will see all this hacking will be checked.
Okay. Now, let's go back to what is happening with our old Naira notes. It's not part of the country. In the papers yesterday, we have Kano and other states where people are, we have this paucity of funds now. If you go to the bank, they're not giving you anything less than, more than 40, 50,000 Naira. And I even watched an interview of a POS person. He was asked why he couldn't give anybody more than 20,000. He said when he went to the bank to collect money, they couldn't even give him a POS operator up to 50,000. That the money he's even using to do his business was the one he collected from the market, traders in the market. Now the question is, we are approaching festive period, and if this continues, what will be the fate of the common man? Are we going to go back to those days we used our own Naira to buy Naira?
No, this is government policy because we have inflation, and they believe we still have much cash in circulation. So they are gradually withdrawing more cash from circulation. So gradually doing that so that it will not cause problem. But they know that there is one of the measures to contain the inflation, because at the level of inflation, the other day I read it is above 22 or 23%. And now it's worrisome for any inflation to be double-digit inflation. Any country that records double-digit inflation is not doing well. So our government is trying by all means. And one of the ways is to begin to withdraw much cash in circulation. Just like Chuka said earlier, when there are too much money in circulation, chasing too few goods, it's not always good. It's better that there are much goods in circulation and few money so that the prices will drop. But if we keep having much money, prices will go up, will be going up every day. And that is
but I'll tell you something. The policy of limiting the cash are being given to the small traders, small-scale traders or business people. We hurt the economy more because the inflation they are looking at is not being caused by these microeconomic agents. Rather, it is being done by those dormant, non-economic persons who have, through corrupt means, amassed those cash government thinks that is in circulation. Because why government thinks that a lot of cash in circulation is outside the banking sector.
Yes.
They are looking at the whole cumulative funds available in all the banks. There is no positive of cash there. Even in circulation, now they believe that it's in circulation. But in that circulation, if you go to the market, you won't see the money, or you won't see the cash also. So where is the cash now? The cash lies with people who don't really need that money. It is in their vaults.
In their various homes.
It is with their wives. It is with their relatives who are close to them, who are keeping watch or having it through them. No, most people don't even trust handing their money over to banks now. But for business people who need these funds, they can't afford to keep this money in their house.
And this is one of the reasons why the CBN wanted to change the old Naira notes then. I mean, people hoarding money in
that's what I'm saying. But if once they do it, look at what I'm saying. It's a vicious cycle. Even if they will succeed with it now, those people will bring out that money, push it into the bank through whatever means. They can meet business people who will put it in for them for a consideration, which for them it is good. They will take your 10 million Naira to put in for you, maybe at a cut of maybe 200,000. They think they've done some business for you. They'll, round trip the fund for you, get the new, maybe gradually they will now be remitting new funds to you. All right? The cash. Now, once they get the cash to you, this is part of what drove that buying your own money with your money.
who are the people that introduced buying money with money? It is those people who stashed money in their house.
Yes.
So they are willing to buy the new currency with
higher rate.
But
Yes.
no individual, no salary earner, no trader will want to do that. That is why I'm pushing for electronic means. Not really the cash. If we can go electronic, the hassles about the cash issue will
Carry
just
cash
stop.
about will stop.
In fact,
Exactly.
there should be charges, there should be tax on any transaction above, let's say, 50,000 naira. It should carry a charge. Any cash transaction above 50,000 naira should carry a tax.
Okay. All right, we'll stay here at the studios of Anambra Broadcasting Service, but we want to take a short break. Let's go to the street and, get people's opinion on the topic we are discussing this morning. Stay with us.
The problem we are having in this country is that the old Naira note is more in circulation than the new Naira note. So that is the problem. So if they were talking about the deadline date, well, I don't think that the date is going to work because the new Naira note is not in circulation. The new one is not. If a little water touch the new one, you see that the new one will go. It just declare. So the old Naira note is more valuable than the new Naira note.
Most government policies are good. The problem has always been how they are implemented. If they say that between now and December they are going to introduce new Naira notes, the denominated Naira notes, no problems with it. But the thing is that how are they going to effectively implement it? That has been the problem. So even if they say it is 2 months and they flood the banks with the Naira notes, with the new notes, people go there and collect it. If you go to the bank and want to take money, they give you the new notes. In a matter of a month or two, you discover that more than 90-95% of the old notes have gone in. And then they should open a window for people who still have the old note to continue to submit it and exchange for the new ones. So it's not that the period is very short, but how prepared are they to do it? And what is the cost to the economy again? Because the old one, the one that we are now calling the new Naira notes that are out, it was produced at great cost, and yet it's not available.
My expectation that it will be another hustle if you didn't take a very careful step to see that they make the announcement publicly to every media this thing. So they have to make the publication very wide to reach everywhere so that it should not be a rush. Because if it enters into rush, then some people may say, we don't know, we are not aware of this and that. That will bring another rush.
Actually, by December is enough time for us, if the government is really sincere to enforce that policy, it's enough time for us to change from this current currency we are using. But the way I'm seeing things now, I don't think it is very possible, because the new Naira note is not even in circulation. So I don't see the possibility of the old Naira note being phased out from the system.
Have you back on the show this morning. We are still talking about the deadline for the new Naira note as it approaches. And you've heard what the people out there on the street have to say about, the deadline. Some are saying that it's not going to work. And one of the person that spoke said that they should give window of 2 months, whereby people will bring their old Naira notes and then they will be given new Naira notes. We know that we did that earlier when even we extended it to people going to central bank to deposit their note. But it didn't work out because we had a lot of backlog people. Their money weren't even credited to the account and all that. Then offline, he asked the question, Chuka asked the question, why is it that we can't carry the money? If you know that you have a whole lot of up to 50 million naira, your own money, to the bank and tell them, okay, I want to deposit it in my account and change it. Why can't we go to the bank and do that?
Because you cannot explain the source. At the bank, they must certainly ask you, what is the proceed for? Why do you get this money, as much as 50 million? What do you do that gave you this money? You have to make some explanations. And then in the bank, when all these questions come, because they are slush fund, Because there are money you got, you cannot explain how you got it. Getting money, and so on. There are a lot of things that will not make you to go to bank. Otherwise, you walk yourself into trouble. So, because of that, people now devise means of trying to do other things in order to cover up. That's the problem we have.
There's a requirement that for any fund, I think ICPC and
EFCC, the moment
so once
you get into the bank,
take in a certain
amount of money,
they will log it immediately.
Of course.
So then they may likely
they'll
profile you, and then after a while they may come knocking.
They come after you.
Yeah. So that is the challenge. And now some people will raise the argument. What of all these Fulani and cattlemen who trade and those people who are in the bush doing business? How would they? It will create another business opportunity for all these microfinance businesses to go set up, business points in those places. If you want to do a transaction, even the person doesn't have an account, so to say, or doesn't have a bank account, an account can be created with a phone number. That is the beauty of most of these online. Once the person has a phone number, they can create an account with the phone number. And if we go with that integration that your phone number will be on the same chip, that SIM card, it has your NIN on it, it has your driver license on it, everything is on the same chip. That's your phone number chip. It's the same chip, the same microchip. We have all these details. So once you have a phone number, they will create an account for you immediately. And once you have the account number, you can quote it. I don't know whether you're getting me now. So you can use it for any of these ones. Because if you the same phone number, you can use it on OPay. The same phone number, you can use it Money Point. And so all this. So the same number is your account number in any of these. So it makes it easy, it makes it safe. So anybody who has an account number, who has a phone number, can have an account number. So government has done partly what is needed. What remains is that willpower. If they want to do this, I tell you, who the people stalling this currency or new note, swap, are those politicians, those criminals who have people in high places who are kicking against this, because the source of their income is from crime and criminality and corrupt means. So they can't afford to take such funds to the bank. So government should, and it is part of what is killing the economy. They are doing nothing and they are holding on to the excess cash because there's no other means of getting these funds except in cash. And they are not using it for any business, so they continue to accumulate cash, draining the economy of the much needed, fiscal notes to do basic transactions within the polity. So I think, again, what they can do is to even make the higher denominations into coins and leave the lower ones in notes. Because ideally, it is costlier to manage notes than to manage coins. So I don't see why. And then if you look at the nominal value of these things, the nominal value of coins is higher than the nominal. That's the physical cost of producing notes is not as high. If you look at the cost, the physical cost, it is not as high as coins. The coins, given the material that you use in making it, because if it is ordinary material, then counterfeiting will be easy. So, but if it's certain special alloys, all right, it will make it costly. All right? So if they will make 1,000 Naira coins,
it will be difficult to carry.
It will be difficult to carry.
Make it complicated. Use multi-alloy and multi-color in doing these 1,000 Naira coins, 2,000 Naira coins. Let me see how they will be carrying coins all over, or they will go to party and be spraying coins. So you will find out that holding on to those things will just be symbolic. And then they will make the lower and the transactional notes, the ones that come mostly into transaction, maybe notes. So you find that people won't be interested in the currency again. They only use it for the basic exchange purpose. Because these are reasons why cash is being held on to either transactional purpose, investment purpose, and then speculatory purpose. That's the basic means of.
And I've seen some people coming up with this argument that since the lower currency we have, like the 5 Naira, 10 Naira, and 20 Naira, we can't use it to buy anything again. Because why still producing it?
Because it has become worthless. Yes. There's nothing you can buy with.
But normally what government does is to change them to coins. And when they change the coins, then it goes to rest. But if you make those higher denominations into coins,
because people don't like carrying coins. That's another thing.
But every other place, if you go to any other economy, even in our neighboring countries, Cameroon, Benin Republic,
Coins
Coins
is very
are still
much
there, yeah, safer.
Circulation.
Safer coins.
Safer coin system. Much is, if you go to our people go to United Arab Emirates, Dubai, and all, go to China, they use coins
They use
there. Why can't
coins.
we use it here?
Okay, let's also talk about the quality of this new Naira note. Some people have complained. I've even seen a market woman that someone wanted to buy something and gave the new Naira. Or say, in where the old one, and this new one, or that sometimes when you mistakenly have it in your pocket and you wash your clothes, when you bring it out, the color almost must have been
your
washed out.
clothes get stained
Yes,
as well.
now could that be a strategy by the CBN, to curb this storage of money or stacking of money at homes by some of this big fish?
Well, from what from what I heard, people were saying that it's a deliberate thing to make it very easy to get destroyed when you store it for a long time. So other than, the old one is better. We handle the texture, it's better, it's strong than the new one. So from what I heard, they say the CBN made it in such a way that if you keep this money for a long time, it will begin to disintegrate and so on. So that for people who are stacking Naira notes for a long time in their homes and wherever, before they come back to see it, it has got destroyed and so on.
If that's the idea or intention, it is good. But what is not good about the whole thing is that the amount they used in producing that note.
Yeah, I wanted to come to that. Because this morning, before coming to this studio, I met a man who worked with CBN. And we are discussing this. I said, I'm going to the studio to discuss this and so on. We begin to talk about it. And he was telling me that the amount to produce a Naira note is much, much higher than the Naira note itself. This 1,000 Naira note. That's what he told me. That the amount to produce 1 Naira note is higher than the 1,000 Naira. And I asked him, so what's the sense of producing such money?
So that is where the problem comes.
And it's one of the things that landed MFL in trouble.
So it's part of the corruption we're talking about.
It's part of the corruption that we're talking about.
So that is it. So basically, I moved to the fact that I submit the fact that coins, because if you look at the idea of creating money in the first time, these notes are promissory notes by government to pay people when they demand this value back, because originally money when created initially was in form of gold. It's gold coins, 1 pound weight. That's how the pound sterling gets its name. 1 pound weight of gold will be 1 pound in weight. So if you get 1 pound in any material and keep, you get 1 pound of gold and put the other way, they will hold. So that is it. That is how money. But after some time, I find that moving about with this precious stone, gold, is not so convenient. So they will take it to the smiths and banks, and they will write promissory notes for them. After some time, government took over this function in most of the economies to write promissory notes, which now was better reduced to money.
That was when they were practicing
the cost of this promissory note, which is this money we have, should not be higher than the value of the note. So that is another crime.
But that is what we have in this country.
And that is why people are not happy about it, because it defrauded Nigeria, it impoverished Nigeria. Instead of helping the economy, it put the economy in a worse position.
Because you cannot tell me you spend more than 1,000 Naira to produce 1,000 Naira
note.
So it means
there's
that
no justification for that.
You have set the economy back furthermore. So why you are saying you are doing this to help the economy, you have only managed to defraud the economy. So that is part of the challenge there. And when they get the money, what would they do with the money they stole from the process? Either they send it outside of the country, or they will store it again in those new currencies within the country. So inspiring us further into the challenge we have already.
The decision to actually, print this new currency, new notes, actually, it was in a hurry. They took that decision in a hurry. I think all we need to do is maybe to have a robust kind of planning before we make a decision like this, so that we have, better monetary policy to help us. Call stakeholders, people, and maybe they will throw in their ideas on how to get things done, just like Chuka he's talking about the coins, producing the coins and all that. So we need a lot of people on ground to help us have a good monetary policy.
The former president is in love with exchanging the Naira. The former president, I mean Muhammadu Buhari. Yeah, he was in love, because if you check when he was military head of state, he created the same problem in the name of changing Naira notes. And that, according to him, he was looking for politicians who stacked money away. That was in 1985.
Okay.
You remember? And then this second time around, he still came up with the idea, still looking for politicians who stacked Naira notes, maybe in pretext. And if you remember what happened, that's 85. Those men he was chasing, the Emir of Gwandu then brought in 93 suitcases of Naira notes from Saudi Arabia. And he walked through our airport freely. And yet that was a man who had 10 policies, 10 soldiers everywhere for anybody carrying Naira notes. But this man came in and he walked past our airports. Now this time around, when he was doing that, the present president, Bola Tinubu, said the policy was targeted at him. You remember? He said targeted at him in the sense that maybe people believe he stacked this Naira notes.
Okay, before the election,
before
right?
Before the election,
okay.
rather, you remember. So there were many efforts he did, and some others, many efforts to scuttle it, including sponsoring people to go to court.
Even some northern governors have to come together and sue the
federal government
and federal government about
But
this.
one thing I know there was that then MFLA was the man that was being used as in the front. But the man doing it was the president who gives directive. But now MFLA is suffering for it, for all those policies, Naira redesign and so on. But the man who asked him to do that is at his home, forgetting that. Because by the time Nigerians know that it wasn't MFLA that was doing this, it was that when that pressure was so much and the president had to speak to the country and say, okay, we are going to allow 200 Naira to exist alongside 500 Naira and 1,000. So MFLA couldn't say that because MFLA was saying we are hitting the deadline and nothing more. And the pressure became too much. The president himself has to come. And that was when we know that it wasn't MFLA that was in charge of this policy. But now, MFLA is now suffering for it. And what was he suffering for? For printing Naira above the Naira value.
Yeah.
That was what was, because they said they have been accused of using a proxy company, a company he has interest in, and so on. But I might excuse him for that because most government functionaries still do contract using proxy companies. They have interest, but they don't come out, but they use their proxies. Most of them, I can vouch that about 90% of government functionaries or political leaders, all of them, they do that. So, but MFLA, the man in the storm, in the eye of the storm, sorry, because he was there, he's the man everybody is looking at. So, but there's this unseen hand at the back that was teleguiding him. But, well, I wish he comes out of it. But what we are saying is that Nigerians should wake up to know that the way we do our own things in this country is quite different from where some people do it. Until our political leaders begin to reason the way other people reason, we may not get to where we are going.
On my own part, I think what I will submit is this. Let everybody, especially people into volumes in transaction, traders, whatever business you are doing, scale up your transactionary options to electronic means and portal. Make them safe. You can still maintain your traditional accounts, but create a means where you can make any of your transactions through of these new options, electronic options, and then move them, promptly to safer traditional accounts through the same electronic means, so that it can't be hacked easily. Because you must not have only one account. We are not prohibited from having multiple accounts. So for traditional purposes, you can have all these micro finance-based or electronic-based accounts, phone number account. But immediately the transaction is over, you immediately will move your funds to safer accounts. That way you can do your transaction anywhere, anytime as you wanted. And therefore, all these, whether they redenominate or there's paucity of cash or whatever, you can still do your transaction, even if the transaction is for 10 Naira, even if it's for 50 kobo. And recently, I think yesterday, I wanted to withdraw 10,000 Naira They told me I'm going to pay 300 naira. I said 300 naira, I think it's 100 naira. I said that the last you take is 200. I said why? I said that 4 days ago, 5 days ago now, that the banks increased the charge for transactions. That for every transaction now, they charge a certain amount. All right, they increased the transaction cost. All right, so I said, okay, that this should not be. It should be based on cash, not electronic. He said that transaction is transaction. I said, yes. He said because they get the cash from the bank, and the bank. I said, bank should not be billing you people unless people are now using you people. All right, to access cash, because I think getting cash from bank should not be the problem.
Shouldn't.
Unless you people, maybe if they give you a limit, daily limit of let's say 200,000 or 500,000, based on, because they will see your transaction volume before they know what to give to you. If your daily transaction volume is not up to the amount you are demanding, they won't give you that much. That, I think that is, it should be the criteria. So all these things are smart ways, not when you come in, you take 1 million naira today, tomorrow you come and take 1 million naira again. Okay. When they look at your volume of transaction, no matter the number, it's not up to 200,000. They won't give you again until you show the cumulative transaction. Maybe they should include these things in the analytics that you have in these programs, so that once you come, you submit the analytics, or there should be a column or a provision in these the program for these POS, where the analytics will show the amount of volume of transaction. That will determine what the amount they're going to give you. So all these things are easy.
All right. You know, we can go on and on and on to talk about this, but we really don't have time again. And we want to say a very big thank you to both of you for joining us on this show this morning. Thank you so much, Chuka Uzeze, for being here.
Thank you, and thank you for having me.
And also, Paulson Okeke, thank you so much for joining us on the show this morning.
Thank you very much. Thank you, viewers, for being with us.
Yeah, they are viewing and listening at the same time. Okay. I want to say a very big thank you to you for joining us on the show this morning. See you again tomorrow. My name is Chidimma Oranwa. Bye.